Welcome to a special edition of The Pig Trail, an inside look at the life and career of Kevin Kopps from the state's largest sports team, the Pig Trail Nation.
If I skipped a day of working out or I didn't do all the reps, it would be hard for me to not dwell on that and not think that that small thing is the reason why I'm not where I want to be.
All those small things definitely paid off. Welcome into our special 30-minute edition of the Pig Trail Show. It is all about Arkansas pitcher Kevin Kopps. I'm Tara Talmadge alongside our senior analyst Mike Irwin. And Mike, Kevin is arguably one of, if not the best players to ever come through this Diamond Hogs program. But his career was definitely up and down.
You know, Tara, through 5 difficult seasons, which included a promising return from Tommy John surgery in 2019, Kevin Kopps never felt comfortable with who he was as a pitcher. So working on his own during last summer's COVID shutdown, Kopps decided to make a change.
Some real reflection had to be for Kevin after that 2020 season is am I going to try to pitch to be somebody that I think people want me to be, or am I going to try to pitch to be who I am?
But I didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel like I had control. I always felt like I was pitching defensively maybe. I think I just stopped caring, stopped worrying about things, stopped worrying about mechanics. Just went out and started pitching, and it just kind of started coming together.
She went back and looked at some of the old videos. I'd say old videos. Some of it even dates back to some of the videos we took when he was in high school.
Kopps also worked on getting in better shape, shedding some excess pounds and eating healthier while making some changes in his pitching mechanics.
He transformed himself into a sinker baller with a really good cutter, curveball, changeup now, and the credit goes to Kevin for making that adjustment.
When Kopps returned for fall ball, Matt Hobbs knew he was seeing a real change. But the Hogs pitching coach is all about technical data, using TrackMan to see what's really going on. The video, the tracking, the numbers, that data told the story.
I remember looking at the cutter versus the 2020 cutter, and I just blew my mind. I was like, this isn't even close to the same pitch.
But as impressive as Kopps was in the fall, his first outing of the 2021 season was a far cry from what would come. He went just 1 inning against Texas Tech, giving up 2 hits and a run before getting pulled for Cole Ramage, leaving Kopps wondering if his up-and-down career was about to head south again.
I had a ton of flashbacks to 2020. I almost felt like I was about to slide backwards.
We felt okay about a shaky outing and thought he would be better later on, and it turned out to be later on the weekend. He finished against TCU and was really good.
At that point, he began to build momentum. Kopps' first long outing came in Game 2 in a road sweep of Mississippi State, throwing 56 pitches in 4 shutout innings with 7 strikeouts. Back home against Auburn, it went up a notch. For the first time, he appeared in every game of a series, throwing a total of 75 pitches over 4 shutout innings in 3 one-run ball games.
So I've had guys that have gone 3 days in a row before in the past. I've just never had anyone be that dominant doing it.
But Kopps could do more, like throwing 125 pitches in 2 huge wins over Tennessee, and incredibly, a save in a win against Nebraska. 161 pitches thrown to take the Hogs into a super regional.
The kid's a warrior. He wouldn't let us take him out of the game. And yeah, I know that we have the final call there, but this is a team, and they want Kevin on the mound. Kevin wants to be on the mound.
Kopps was finally pushed to his limit. In his first start of the season, he went 8 full innings in the championship game of the Fayetteville Super Regional before coming out in the 9th. Arkansas's bid for a national championship was stopped. Not by Kevin Kopps, but in a rare game where the run support for him was not there. After signing autographs until there was no one left in the stadium to ask for one, he silently entered the dugout and up to Arkansas's locker room for a final time.
He was doing the job. He did the best he could. He was the best we had, and we rode him as far as we could ride him.
I mean, Kopps pitching the whole game, that's crazy.
Kopps is the man. He got a standing ovation. That's how he'd want to go out.
He's absolutely everything that you've heard about. Sometimes you don't get what they prescribe, but he is everything and then some of what you've heard about.
He did everything he could for this team, and I think that you're going to see some pretty good awards come his way in the next couple of weeks.
Well, DVH was definitely right about that. I don't know if Kevin Kopps has a trophy case, but I'm sure it's probably getting pretty full if he does, especially after winning the Dick Howser Trophy, which is given out every year to the National College Baseball Player of the Year.
The 2021 winner of the Dick Howser Trophy, pitcher Kevin Kopps, the University of Arkansas.
The Dick Howser Trophy is one of the most prestigious awards in college baseball. And now Kevin Kopps is in the same conversation as past winners like David Price, Steven Strasburg, and Andrew Benintendi.
It doesn't really feel real yet. Those are the guys you kind of watch when you're younger and look up to, and to be on the same list with them is a blessing.
A 12-1 record, a 0.9 ERA, 131 strikeouts. Kevin Kopps was unstoppable, and an option Dave Van Horn always knew he could count on.
His performance this year was something that I've never really witnessed. It's so rare to see a pitcher that can close a game, come in the middle of the game, start a game, pitch back-to-back days.
It's crazy to think that a year ago, Kopps was contemplating if he even had a spot on the team.
It was whether or not Arkansas wanted me back, and I was going to come back. But just after the season, I was just kind of unsure of who I am and if they wanted me back, or if they wanted to make room for some younger guys. Coach Hobbs thought it was stupid of me to ask. So, and I'm really thankful for that.
Now he's won every major award you can think of, and the major leagues is on the horizon.
He's going to do whatever he wants, and he'll be really good at it. But I think he's going to play baseball for as long as he wants as well.
Well, that was our Nick Petriccioni reporting. We're going to catch up more with Nick later in the show, but there is still one award that Kevin Kopps hasn't won yet, and that is the Golden Spikes, and Kopps is one of 3 finalists for it. The other 2 are pitchers Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker from Vanderbilt. But as Arkansas fans, I think we all saw the incredible season that Kopps had, ending with a 12-1 record, 11 saves, proving every outing that he was the most dominant pitcher in the country this year. The winner, though, will be announced on July 14th. But here's a look at the stats from this past season. 12 wins on the year, 11 saves, a sub-1 ERA of 0.9, striking out 131 batters, only walking 11, just unheard of for a relief pitcher. And Mike, you've covered this program for a very long time. Have you ever seen something like what Kevin Kopps did this past season at Arkansas?
You know, I really haven't. He's the very definition of what you say when you talk about a team MVP. 12 wins, 11 saves. That's 23 games that he directly impacted, games that in many cases would have been lost without him. He sort of set a new standard for just how much work you could get out of a relief pitcher in a 3-game series. Arkansas won all 10 of its SEC series, 17 overall. That's an astounding number. Those numbers would not have been possible without Kopps. I'm still shaking my head over the 11 innings of scoreless baseball with 161 total pitches thrown in 2 games against Nebraska. We all watched something this past season that was not explainable. It happened, but I'm not sure how.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you talk about unexplainable. I think most of the time when he would come out there, you would expect eventually something would go wrong, and it just never did. It was always incredible to watch Kevin Kopps this season. Now, we've all seen how humble and hardworking he is now, but what was he like as a kid? Well, coming up, we're going to learn more about Kevin's younger years growing up in Texas. Stick around. Well, Kevin Kopps grew up in Sugar Land, Texas. It's just outside of Houston. And 2 of the things that he most enjoyed when he was young was training at Optimal Sports Performance and playing in his school band.
Kevin was just always very meticulous, very serious about what he was doing, very quiet.
But even though he was timid, everyone could tell that even at a young age, Kopps meant business.
Kevin was just one of those kids that you just enjoyed being around. He trained with me for about 4 or 5 years. He was there for a purpose. He wasn't there to just be hanging out.
However, when Kopps did want to just hang out, band was a perfect escape.
That picture that you saw was his George Ranch High School band uniform. So he had gone on to high school at that point. I had him for those first 3 years, 6 through 8. But no, he was a super kid, always smiling. Kind of dimples, you know, I've been watching him play. I can still see him in there, but I mean, he's obviously a lot taller and, stronger.
Which some people in his hometown got to see in person not too long ago.
Apparently, Kevin showed up there during the holiday or the break, and Connor said he came in, he was very quiet. He said, yeah, he came in and just did a 38 vertical jump, just blew everybody out of the waters.
His skills playing the trumpet were also impressive, so much so that his band had the opportunity to perform at Minute Maid Park.
We had a neat experience the spring of his 8th grade year where we auditioned for and got invited to play the national anthem for the Houston Astros. So walking out on that field with the kids is, a real treat.
Who would have known Kopps would stand on the mound at Minute Maid years later? But both Cranston and Pendle make it clear they take no credit for the success Kopps has had.
How sad is my baseball knowledge? Never heard of the gyro pitch, but I looked it up and read the history about it. And don't let me I don't want to mislead you. That wasn't anything we taught him.
And after all these years, both have continued to follow Kopps' career, and they are happy to see his success, especially considering the adversity he's faced.
To me, I'm probably more proud of that than in being 24 years old and getting to go play at the next level, just to know what he's overcome to get there. Because probably more so than anything, that I like to think that's what I'm about as a coach when I'm talking to these kids.
I'm not surprised at all. And to watch him pitch, just the way he comes on and off the field, his demeanor, there was something going on even at that young age that you could see that was going to sprout and turn into something pretty amazing, which clearly it has.
Yeah, I think they were spot on. Pretty amazing for sure. And you just heard from his former trainer and talk about that gyro spin ball that has been so good for Kevin Kopps this past season. Right after the break, though, we're going to catch up with his high school coach who helped him develop that pitch. Well, we just heard about Kevin Kopps' younger years, but now we're going to fast forward a little bit and send it over to our Nick Petruccioni to tell us about his high school career and that famous cutter that Kevin Kopps has had.
Kevin Kopps started his journey to Arkansas at George Ranch High School, and once he stepped on the mound for the Longhorns, his coach Greg Kopps knew he was a special talent.
From the very beginning, I knew, he was going to be, something by the time he graduated. His work ethic was, second to none, even as a young kid. I thought he was a robot. He did work very hard.
Kopps was a two-way player, but pitching and hitting was not his forte.
For some reason, when I did both, I was either really good at one and really bad at the other. It was like just weird and hard for me to be good at both. It's like they wouldn't click at the same time.
Even though he averaged more than 300 at the plate, the mound was his obvious strong suit, and it was at George Ranch where he discovered his famous cutter, thanks to a former pro.
This is John Hudek. He pitched for the Astros. I was just talking to him because I had a curveball. I just wanted something else. So he decided to show me, this cutter grip, and it just kind of started going from there.
He started tinkering with that about mid-season his junior year, and it got really good toward the end. He was lights out.
It's still untouchable now. One thing that also hasn't changed is the calm fire that Kopps brings when he enters a game. During one outing with the Longhorns, Kevin loaded the bases against BF Terry High School, prompting Kopps to pay him a visit on the mound.
He comes up to me at the mound. I said, I just wanted to make them think they had a chance. And he just looked at me and walked away. And I made everybody in the huddle, laugh. And then I struck out the next couple of guys, so it was all good.
He doesn't show a lot of emotion, but believe me, he cares about what he's doing out there. And for the most part, he is a fierce competitor. He's fiery.
Kopps took that fire with him to Arkansas to become one of the best pitchers in college baseball. But his presence can still be felt in Richmond, Texas.
My young kids, they look at the pictures and, his name's been in the paper. And they say, Coach, you coached him? I said, yeah, he was here. And so it was great for my program here at George Ranch, to have a kid like him come through there, because they can look up on the walls, their eyes just light up and go, wow, maybe that could be me one day.
In his final 2 years in high school, Kopps had a combined record of 17-4 and struck out 172 batters. He was dominant then. He's still dominant now. Tara?
I wanted to make them think they had a chance. That might be my new favorite soundbite from Kevin Kopps. Nick, thank you so much for that. Right after the break, Mike, you're going to introduce us to another person from Kopps' past, his former travel ball coach. Stick around. Well, we've heard everyone talk very highly of Kopps and his work ethic, of course, his skills on the mound as well. But there was really one coach, Mike, that played a major role in him becoming the pitcher that he is today.
You know, Tara, the Kevin Kopps we all saw this season might have never made it to an SEC level school if not for Houston area Summer League baseball coach Matt Pierce. It was Pierce who agreed to take on Kopps as a 14-year-old pitcher after he had been cut from another Summer League team. Kopps didn't have the big-time arm that other budding D1 prospects had in that league, but Pierce saw something in him that he liked.
Could really pitch at a young age, but just undersized, didn't have the flashy velo that everybody else had. We had a team that had Division I arms, but if it was a must-win game, I can tell you we put Kevin Kopps on the mound.
Because 14-year-old Kevin Kopps could, quote, throw a quality breaking ball for swing and a miss strikes. With a coach that believed in him, Kopps remained with the Sliders all the way through high school.
Those were probably the most fun summers of my life, I would say, being around Coach Matt and just such a good leader and a good guy.
Pierce says it's part of his job to try to connect his players with college recruiters, but he encourages them to do some of the legwork themselves. He never had to worry about that with his up-and-coming strikeout artist.
It was a joke every weekend. Did you get the Kevin Kopps email? Because he had video with it. He had his own YouTube page, man, and he sent them their highlights. And Tony Vitello, he would text me every weekend, when's the officer throwing?
He came from a great family, so when you got to meet Kevin, you're like, okay, he's pitching and he's having success for a reason, but he's going to be successful down the road in baseball and in life just because of who he is.
Successful to a level his former Summer League coach could never have imagined.
I remember texting some other coaches and other buddies that know Kevin and just saying, hey, man, I think this guy's about to have a really incredible season. This is really silly what he's doing right now. To see where he's at 10 years later, it's pretty awesome. I mean, my wife, she obviously loves baseball like I do, but she cries almost every time we watch Kevin pitch this year, and it was really special for us.
Kopps gets emotional when asked about the coach who believed in him all those years ago and the fact that coach became one of his biggest fans during this college baseball season.
I don't know. I mean, I've always tried to stay in touch with him as best I can. I guess he feels like family to me, and I guess it just makes me feel good.
You want to see guys like that win. He is the ultimate team guy, wants to win for his team. It means a lot that Kevin was able to do what he did this year, and it's just really special.
Mike, that was a great story. I love that interview with him as well. But, speaking of the team guy, it's time to hear from some of his teammates. Coming up after the break, we're going to catch up with Casey Opitz, Patrick Wicklander, and more to hear what it was like to play alongside Kopps this season. Well, we've heard from Kevin. We have heard from his former trainers and coaches and band director, but now it's time to hear from the guys who played with him all season long and learn what it was like for his teammates and what they think about Kopps' season.
To me, it's the best baseball performance I've seen in my entire life.
What Kopps did was unheard of, especially because of the type of pitch he was throwing.
He's not blowing you away with anything that's 100 miles an hour or anything nuts. It's like he's coming at you with 88 to 94 and the cutter, whatever that pitch is, whatever he wants to call it, that thing. And it's just getting guys out left and right, and they know it's coming.
Which was great for his teammates to watch, especially those that had seen him struggle in the past.
He deserves that more than Kevin. I see him on the outside. You see him signing all these autographs with the dudes. He's at Tommy John. Last year he wasn't the best. He wasn't the best at all. So seeing him do this year, it was really incredible.
And the Razorbacks supported Kopps, even if it meant less game time for themselves.
Against in Nebraska when he threw those 7 innings, I was playing catch. I was like, I'm not going to this game. This is Kevin's game. We like Lyle said, we're not going to see another season like this in college baseball.
So what was it like for Casey Opitz behind the dish?
It was easy, honestly. It was really easy. Everything worked.
So that was the fun part for me. It was, whatever he wanted to do, and no matter who was hitting, we could beat him. So I'm blessed. I was able to be a part of that, and the season he had, because nobody deserved it more than that, and that was unbelievable.
And sometimes people forget, Kopps was a team captain this past season, and the Razorbacks say he set a great example for everyone.
Has no ego, doesn't get wrapped up in all the hype. He's just there and does his job, and he's really good at it, and he gives back. So it's awesome.
And Dave Van Horn hopes that Kevin Kopps will be an example for future Arkansas players as well.
I mean, we'll be able to talk about Kevin many years down the road, and how he got in shape, how he changed his body, got his mind right, the way he ate, nutrition. And I think it's going to help a player or two in the future here, just if they'll listen.
And Mike, Kopps definitely set the bar high, not only for his performances on the field, but just how humble he was off of it as well.
Yeah, with the kind of season he had, it would have been very easy for him to become temperamental, assume star status in the dugout or the locker room. That never happened. As that summer league coach said, he was doing that all the way back at age 14. He was the team player, and it never changed, even when he became the best pitcher in college baseball.
You love when good things happen to good people. For Mike Irwin, I'm Tara Talmadge. That's going to wrap up our special edition of the Pig Trail Show. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for watching this special edition of the Pig Trail. Follow the Pig Trail Nation on social media now.